สวัสดีค่ะสวัสดีค่ะ Good afternoon, distinguished guests, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. A warm welcome to our exciting event today, whereby we will be finding out whether or not we are alone in the universe. My name is Pachari Raksawong. Delighted, excited, and honored indeed to be here as your master of ceremonies. Now, this event is being organized by the National Astronomical Research Institute of Thailand, or NARIT, under the Ministry of Higher Education, Science, Research, and Innovation. Thank you all so much for choosing to be here with us as we get ready to discover and find out if we really are alone in this universe. Now, allow me to take some time to just let you know of the objectives we aim to achieve here this afternoon. Generally, we want the public to gain more knowledge and understanding on the study of ET or extraterrestrial intelligence. And on top of that, we also want you all to be more aware of the advancement of the field of radio astronomy here in Thailand, as this branch of astronomy is very significant indeed in the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. And now, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I have the honor of introducing you all to our three speakers. First of all, we have Dr. Andrew Simeon, the Director of SETI and Director of Berkeley SETI Research Center. A big round of applause welcoming him here. Look forward to hearing your presentation. Next, Professor Michael Garrett, Director of Jodrell Bank for Astrophysics, University of Manchester. A big warm welcome to you as well. We will also be hearing from Dr. Saran Poshiyat, Executive Director of NARIT, the National Astronomical Research Institute of Thailand. A big round of applause welcoming him here too. Now, the format for today is we'll be hearing individual presentations from the three speakers, about 15 to 20 minutes long each, and then we will go straight into the panel discussion that will take place up here on the stage. We do have some questions that were sent in online prior to today, and so we'll have the speakers answer those questions before we give the opportunity to the audience here to raise your hand and ask your questions, all right? So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. I know you're excited to begin, so we'll do that right now. I'd like to welcome on stage Dr. Andrew Simeon, Director of SETI and Director of Berkeley SETI Research Center, to be first to tell us about whether or not there is other intelligent life in the universe. A big round of applause. สวัสดีค่ะ
I'd just like to start by saying that it's really a pleasure to be here. This is my first time in Thailand, and I'd like to especially thank the leadership of NARIT, Saran, and also Buspa Kramer for organizing this wonderful event. This doesn't seem to be working. There we go. So this image that you see behind me is one of the most famous images in astrophysics. This image is called the Hubble Ultra Deep Field. It was made using one of the largest, most powerful telescopes that human beings have ever produced, the Hubble Space Telescope, and pointing it at a little tiny patch of sky, a very dark patch of sky, about the size of a head of a pin held up at arm's length, and integrating for hundreds and hundreds of hours. And in this little tiny blank patch of sky, this is the image that resulted. And every point of light that you see in this image is not a star, it's in fact a galaxy, each of which has hundreds of billions of stars. And by taking this image and extrapolating it to the rest of the sky, we come up with a truly amazing statistic that just in the part of the universe that we can see, there are hundreds of billions of galaxies, each with hundreds of billions of stars. The universe is really larger than we can even imagine. But we've discovered some very interesting things about the universe in the last couple of years. One of the most exciting discoveries that we've made very recently is that the universe is awash in planets. Essentially, every star in our Milky Way galaxy, and we have no reason to think that other stars in other galaxies are any different, has a planetary system. Solar systems, like our own, are the rule rather than the exception. The galaxy and the universe is full of planets. And amazingly, something like 1 in 5 stars, about 20% of them, have what we call a habitable planet around it. That is a planet where liquid water could exist on the surface of the planet, and it could have a rocky surface like our own planet Earth. We've also discovered that although previously we thought that there wasn't a lot of exchange of material between the stars, that each solar system existed largely in isolation, we've learned that that's not true. In fact, there's a significant exchange of material between the stars, as evidenced by the discovery of the object Oumuamua, the first interstellar object that we ever discovered in our own solar system. This asteroid, this is an artist's conception actually, this asteroid did not come from the protoplanetary disk that made up our solar system, all the material that made up our own solar system. It actually came from another star. But the question that many of us ask when we look up at the night sky and we imagine all of these hundreds of billions of galaxies and stars with planetary systems, is there life out there, remains a complete mystery to us. And in that sense, the universe is, as far as the question of life goes, a dark forest, a complete mystery. We have no idea whether life is a unique phenomena here in our own solar system, or whether the galaxy and indeed the universe might be rife with life throughout its entire breadth. But we have many reasons to be optimistic about the possibilities for life in our own Milky Way and in the rest of the universe. And among them is the fact that life began very quickly on the Earth. And we know this from fossilized colonies of bacteria, like you see behind me, called stromatolites. Essentially, as soon as the Earth was cool enough after its formation, about 4 billion years ago, for the biochemistry that drives life now to exist, life indeed did exist, and it thrived. We also have learned that life can exist in extraordinarily extreme environments, places that we never thought that life could survive. This video that you see behind me is from one of the deepest parts of the ocean, a hydrothermal vent at the bottom of the Marianas Trench, several miles beneath the surface of the ocean. And around this hydrothermal vent, there's an entire ecosystem of life that exists completely independent of sunlight. So all of the life on the surface of the Earth ultimately derives from photosynthesis, from energy from the sun that plants convert, and then animals consume that. But this ecosystem actually is driven by something called chemosynthetic bacteria. Bacteria that actually harvest energy from this hydrothermal vent and drive an entire ecosystem around it. And we see these environments even in our own solar system. This is the moon Enceladus, a moon of Saturn. And from images of Enceladus, we have inferred that there's an icy surface beneath which there is a liquid ocean. So although habitable environments where liquid water can exist on the surface of a body, are very important for the question of whether or not there is life elsewhere in the universe, we know that life can actually exist in environments far removed from the star, environments where, in fact, liquid water could not exist on the surface of a body. We also know that, at least here on Earth, life went on to develop incredible complexity, as, of course, evidenced by all of us here in this room today. And ultimately, life evolved even far beyond the intelligence of a marine mammal, like a killer whale, and developed technology that can be detected between the stars. So, of course, the question of life in the universe, whether or not there is life elsewhere, is a very important one that receives quite a lot of attention from astronomers. And if you ask most astronomers how you might go about looking for life beyond the Earth, they would tell you about one of two options. Here on the left, we have in situ sampling. So this is sending a robotic spacecraft to another body in our own solar system and exploring that environment directly to see if there's some evidence of biology. You could imagine bringing a petri dish and trying to culture life. You could imagine bringing a chemistry set and directly sampling to see if there's any biological activity going on there. Another method that has really come to the fore with the discovery of extrasolar planets is called spectroscopy for biosignatures. So with this method, we take a very large ground-based or space-based telescope. We point it at a nearby extrasolar planet, a planet orbiting another star near to our own solar system, and we take a spectrum of the atmosphere of that exoplanet. So we look very, very carefully at the chemistry that's going on inside of that atmosphere, and we look for anything that is out of equilibrium, anything that indicates that there's some biological activity that's driving the chemistry of that atmosphere. And of course, these are both very powerful methods, but there's an interesting calculation that you can do about actually how effective these two methods are. Of course, the method that we're going to talk about here today to look for life has nothing to do with very simple life and has everything to do with technology. For the last 100 years or so, human beings have produced technology that would be detectable at interstellar distances, at distances between the stars, if we were observing those systems with large telescopes here on planet Earth. And that includes things like high-power TV and radio stations, very powerful planetary radar, the most powerful kinds of radars that we have here on Earth that we use to make images of asteroids and other bodies in our solar system, and also laser communication systems. One of the most exciting areas of space communication, communicating between the Earth and satellites, is to use optical communication. For the same reason that we use fiber optics here on the surface of the Earth, you can transfer very large amounts of data using lasers. And all of these types of emission, electromagnetic emission, would be distinguishable from the background. That is, natural sources, natural astronomical sources, don't produce signals that look like this. Only technology, as far as we know, produces signals that look like this. So we can go through a quick calculation. Obviously doing in situ sampling, sending robotic craft to another body in our solar system sounds like a really excellent way of looking for life. It's very general. You can look for lots of different kinds of life. But of course, we're limited to just our solar system. It's very difficult for us to send spacecraft to other stars because they're so far away. The nearest star to our own solar system is about 4.5 light years away. So it takes even light, the fastest thing that we know about, 4.5 years to get there, and it would take our fastest spacecraft many, many tens or hundreds of times longer than that to get there. The other method I talked about, exoplanet spectroscopy, looking for biosignatures, that also sounds like a very good way of looking for very simple life. But it turns out even that method is limited to just about 10 to 20 light years away from the Earth. And so what that means is that even though there are hundreds of billions of stars in our Milky Way galaxy, this method of looking for life can only probe perhaps a dozen or a few dozen of those stars, a very, very small fraction. But if we compare that with technosignatures, and we ask the question, well, how far away with one of our large telescopes on the surface of the Earth could we detect our own technology? The answer is truly astounding. If you take the Green Bank telescope, a 100-meter telescope, it's located in the United States, and you ask the question, how far away could you detect the Arecibo planetary radar, one of our most powerful radars? The answer is 10,000 light years. Many, many millions of times more stars can be probed using this method than by looking for simple life. So what that means is that even if intelligent life, if technology is much more rare than simple life, the range at which we can detect it is much, much larger. And that means that we're as likely to detect intelligent life first, as we are to detect simple forms of life. This amazing fact, this incredible opportunity that we have to search for intelligent life was recognized really in a very significant way about 4 years ago with the announcement of the Breakthrough Initiatives. These are a series of scientific investigations all centered around the question, are we alone in the universe? Is there other life in the universe? They're principally sponsored by the gentleman that you see here on the left, Yuri Milner. Yuri is a wealthy venture capitalist from Silicon Valley in California, where I live. And when these initiatives were announced, Yuri was joined by the late Stephen Hawking, Martin Rees, Astronomer Royale, Frank Drake, and also Ann Druyan. Ann Druyan is the widow and was the partner of Carl Sagan, both in his life and in his work. Today there are 5 breakthrough initiatives that have so far been announced. Breakthrough Starshot, an effort to figure out whether or not we could send a gram-scale spacecraft at very close to the speed of light, perhaps 2/10 or 3/10 the speed of light to the nearest stars, to the Earth. Breakthrough Message, a competition to design a message that we might eventually send to an extraterrestrial intelligence should we ever detect them. Breakthrough Watch, a program to try to take pictures, direct imaging of the nearest extrasolar planets. A conference series that we hold in Silicon Valley every year called Breakthrough Discuss. And finally, Breakthrough Listen, the most comprehensive, sensitive, and intensive search for intelligent life that human beings have ever undertaken. Breakthrough Listen is by far the largest and most ambitious SETI program in history. It's funded by a 10-year, $100 million commitment from the Breakthrough Prize Foundation, and one day of this program is equal to 1 year of any previous search that's ever been done in the 60-year history of this field. Together we have amassed a collection of some of the most powerful telescopes that exist on Earth, and we're continuing to add more of them. All of these telescopes that you see here occupy unique niches. They all look for slightly different kinds of signals. The Automated Planet Finder here on the top left is a 2.4 meter optical telescope with a very powerful instrument that's designed to look for laser communication, laser lines, what we call optical SETI. The Green Bank Telescope and the Parkes Telescope were 2 of the first facilities that we added. The Green Bank Telescope is located on the east coast of the United States. The Parkes Telescope is located in Australia. The Meerkat Telescope in South Africa is one of the newer facilities that we've added. And the very unique thing about Meerkat is that using a telescope like this, a telescope made up of a large number of small dishes, we can actually observe 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So it's an incredibly powerful radio facility. The Veritas telescope there on the bottom left is what's called a Cherenkov telescope. And it's very good at looking for brief bursts of optical light. So one way that you might communicate with optical light is by using a continuous laser operating at just one wavelength. But another way you might use optical photons to communicate is by sending pulses of optical light. And the Veritas telescope is very good at looking for that kind of communication. The Murchison Wide Field Array in Western Australia is a low-frequency telescope. The FAST telescope, the largest single-aperture telescope in the world, located in southern China, is 500 meters across, even larger than the Arecibo telescope that you saw in some of the videos we saw earlier. And finally, the Jodrell Bank Observatory, with which we have a partnership, and Dr. Garrett will speak, I think, a little bit more about that later this afternoon. One of the other very important things that the Breakthrough Listen program is bringing to the search for extraterrestrial intelligence is what we call a Silicon Valley approach. We're very cognizant in this program that many of the most exciting innovations happening in technology and data science and machine learning are not happening in astronomy. They're happening in the arena of internet commerce and internet business. And we're very interested in figuring out how we can use that technology, those technological innovations, not to sell you more books on Amazon or to get you to buy more of some other product, but rather to increase the efficiency of our searches for intelligent life. And this is one of the most active and exciting areas of the work that our group is doing, is figuring out how to employ some of these technologies, not just software technologies, but hardware technologies as well, things like fast Ethernet and graphic processing units. So truly we have arrived at a very unique time in human history. For the first time in human history, we not only know with certainty that the possibilities for life are literally uncountable. The universe is full of all of the ingredients necessary for life to exist. But we also have the knowledge and the tools that allow us to look for intelligent life in incredibly powerful ways. So I'm going to close with just a little bit of mathematics. This gentleman that you see on the left, his name is Frank Drake. And Frank is responsible for what's sometimes called the second most well-known equation in all of science, the Drake equation. So what the Drake equation does is it attempts to quantify the various factors that go into the emergence of an intelligent communicative civilization. So what do you need for an intelligent civilization to exist and develop the capacity to communicate? Well, you need some stars, probably, and that is counted for in the first term of the equation r, the rate that stars form in the Milky Way galaxy. You need planets, so that's FP, the fraction of stars that have planets, and the equation goes on to include a variety of other parameters that we think are important for intelligent life to emerge. What fraction of planets does life actually develop on? But there's one term in this equation that you might not naively think it would be in the equation, and that's the last term, L, the average lifetime of a civilization. And indeed, some of the most recent modeling that we have done of this problem suggests to us that, in fact, the most important parameter in whether or not there are any other civilizations out there for us to communicate with is not how many stars have planets or how many planets are habitable, but how long do those civilizations last? How long do they continue to communicate? And with that, I will hand over to the next speaker. Thank you.
Thank you so much to you, Dr. Andrew Simeon, Director of SETI and Director of Berkeley SETI Research Center. Wow, that was enlightening for me. That was very fascinating indeed as well. We heard from him about the ginormous galaxy and also potentially habitable planets, interstellar objects. And also thank you very much indeed for sharing with us the research and programs conducted to detecting other life forms out there, sharing the breakthrough initiatives, be it Starshot Message, Watch, Discuss, and Under Listen. We saw all these sophisticated telescopes there to detect intelligent life forms, and also wrapping up with the Drake equation there, putting that into perspective for us. And without further ado, I would like to invite the next presenter up on stage. Ladies and gentlemen, Professor Michael Garrett, Director of Jodrell Bank for Astrophysics, University of Manchester. He will be telling us about SETI and the future of humanity. A big round of applause, welcoming him, please.
Okay, thank you very much. I'd just like to thank everyone for inviting us here to be able to talk to you today. I've been here for a couple of days and absolutely really impressed by the progress that's been made here in Thailand. Already you have an optical telescope here, but you're working very hard at the moment in building a large radio telescope, a 40-meter telescope near Chiang Mai, and we were there actually yesterday to see the fantastic progress that has been made there. So this is a great place to be interested in astronomy and interested in SETI, and this is a great time no matter where you are, to be alive, because I think, as Andrew has mentioned, maybe for the first time ever, we really have the technology where we can begin to answer very important questions like the one that we have here: are we alone? So I'm from the University of Manchester at Jodrell Bank. We've also played, I think, an important role. Many Thai students have studied here, have done their PhDs. Busaba here in the front row, for example, and also the gentlemen here have been trained to be astronomers. So we're very proud of that connection. I want to sort of first of all convince you that the kind of stuff that Andrew is doing is actually very, very difficult. It's a really difficult problem to be able to detect these signals, these technical signals. And I want to try and explain to you a little bit about why that is. First of all, the galaxy, our own Milky Way, where we live, our star is there, but amongst many hundreds of billions of stars, the galaxy is really, really big. It's so big that for a human being, it's almost impossible to really appreciate the huge distances between the stars, even in our own galaxy. So that's one thing that we need to take into account, that even though we have many, many stars in the Milky Way, it's just so huge that the distances between the stars are really enormous. So for example, if we wanted to travel from one side of the Milky Way all the way across to the other side, and we were traveling at the speed of light, which we believe to be the fastest speed that anyone or anything can travel, then it would still take us 60,000 years to go from one side of our galaxy to the other side. And another problem that I think we have is that the speed of light, which we usually think as being really, really fast, you know, everything that happens in this room appears to happen instantaneously. You see me in a tiny fraction of a second. The delay is really, really small between myself and everyone else here in the room. But when you begin to think about astronomical scales, even scales here in the solar system, then the speed of light actually begins to feel quite slow. So what you'll see here is, imagine we're sending a radio wave or a light wave between the Earth and the Moon. It takes a couple of seconds to go from the Earth to the Moon and back again. So even our nearest neighbor, and this is tiny on the scale, on the astronomical scale, even our nearest neighbor, there's still a significant delay between the Earth and the Moon traveling at the speed of light. And you just need to go to Mars, for example, which is our nearest planet, and you'll see the radio wave basically crawling between the Earth and Mars. It's really so slow. We always think about it as being incredibly fast, but actually it's incredibly slow on the scale of the galaxy and on the scale of the universe. And so that means that it actually becomes very difficult not only to communicate within the solar system, but very difficult to communicate between one star and another, because the distances are so large and the speed of light, by comparison, is also rather slow. Another problem that we have is that our galaxy is actually very, very old. So the galaxy has been around for about 10 billion years, a substantial fraction of the age of the universe. And what that means is that there's been a long period where stars have been forming, where planets have been forming, rocky planets, probably with the properties where life could actually evolve on those planets. But they may actually have been appearing. Let's see. Life could be widespread within the galaxy. But if that life is only there maybe for 100 years, a technical civilization perhaps only lasts for 100 years or 1,000 years, or even if it's 10,000 years, those civilizations can be coming and going, but never actually overlap with each other. So we'll never know about any other civilizations, because that civilization will have gone by the time our civilization comes around. And this takes us back to the equation that Andrew mentioned earlier, the Drake equation, and really the importance of the longevity of a civilization. That's one of the factors that makes it either sort of very difficult if the lifetime is very short, because all those civilizations don't overlap in time or in space. And if they last longer, then the problem becomes much easier. If the longevity of a civilization is maybe 10,000 years or 100,000 years or even 1,000,000 years, then the chances that civilizations are arising in the galaxy but also overlap in time becomes much, much larger. And what's the nice thing about SETI is it makes us actually think not only about what's up there, but it makes us think about what's down here. It makes us think about our own future. You know, how long will this particular technical civilization last for? We already know that we have many problems. Here are a few of them that I've put on this slide, but there are many others. So the question is, how long will we last? Will we last for 100 years, 1,000 years, 10,000 years? And SETI makes us think about this, and I think that's really important because at the moment, we're almost sort of at a cusp where we have various important decision points to make which will determine sort of the trajectory of the human race over the next 100 years or 1,000 years. And one possibility is that we actually inflict upon ourselves our own extinction. With all the problems that we have, if we don't find solutions to those problems, then there's the possibility that this planet, for example, having been in the habitable zone, that we ourselves make it uninhabitable. And so that's really something that I think we would like to avoid. I think we want to be around for more than 100 years, 1,000 years. Imagine the technology that we would have if a technological civilization had lasted not just for 100 years, but 1,000 years or 10,000 years. It's such an exciting prospect. So we're on this cusp of perhaps a demise similar to the dinosaurs, but by our own making. Or the other alternative is perhaps that we'll be able to control the resources of our own stellar system, our own solar system. Control, for example, our own planet, not just its resources, but also its weather systems. Be able to control and use the resources on other planets in the solar system, and potentially begin to also travel to other stars. So we have a kind of decision point to make at this point in time. It's incredibly exciting, but also sort of incredibly worrying. You know, which way will we go? Are we prepared to take the decisions that are required to make to have that very long perspective of being around for a long time? Oops. So there are other reasons apart from the scale of the Milky Way and the speed of light that might make this pursuit of being able to detect other civilizations actually quite difficult. And I want to just talk about some of those. It could be that the reason that we haven't detected the SETI signals so far, and we've been looking for a number of years, a number of decades in fact, with radio telescopes, with optical telescopes, we've been looking for those signals. It could be that we're just waiting for some kind of technological breakthrough. Now, I mean, that would be wonderful. It just means we have to wait until technology improves, and at some point we'll be able to detect those signals. And I like to think about the position we were in maybe 250 years ago. This gentleman is Anthony van Leeuwenhoek. He was a Dutch spectacle maker, so he was making glasses for people. And he was very good at grinding lenses, very good at making really good lenses. And he built the first really capable microscopes. And before that time, we had no idea that the majority of life on this planet and the dominant form of life on this planet was actually microscopic. So life that we couldn't see, it was so small, but completely dominant in terms of being the dominant life force on this planet. We only understood that when the microscope was invented. And it could be that we're in exactly the same position at the moment, that we're just waiting for that technological breakthrough, and then we'll see that life is widespread, not only in our own galaxy, but across the universe. So that's one possibility of the situation that we find ourselves at the moment. Oops. Sorry, I've gone too far ahead. The other possibility, and it's one that probably we don't like to admit could be a possibility, is that we're just not bright enough to be able to make this discovery. There's just some intellectual limit on human beings, that we cannot understand everything, that there's just some block that doesn't permit us to make the step forward to actually recognize intelligent life in the universe. And it could be that it's actually artificial intelligence and perhaps our machines who don't have all the human biases that humans have, that can see the big picture. Perhaps it will be our machines that actually have the capacity, the intellectual capacity to make that discovery. It could be, in fact, that our machines detect their machines. And another thing that I think SETI makes us think about is actually that perhaps we need to sort of open up our minds to not just the normal science that we study at school, but we have to realize that there are some things that we really don't know about. And this sort of what I call the cosmic foundations is a good example. This is really our fundamental understanding of the universe. This is what we have learned from producing cosmological models and fitting those to the cosmic microwave background. So we know that the energy content of the universe is sort of roughly made up of about 5% of the normal matter that we see around us, all the matter that we, in fact, are made up of. About 25% of the matter is called dark matter, so that's matter that we cannot see, but we know it's out there because we see its effects in the way galaxies form, for example, in the way clusters of galaxies form. We have no idea, or we have very little idea, about what this dark matter is. You know, it makes up a quarter of the universe, but there's no scientist on this planet at the moment that could actually tell you what this actually is. They can tell you what they think it is, but we haven't been able to detect the sort of dark matter particle, even though we've been looking for it for many decades. And then even worse to come is something called dark energy. We see that the universe is expanding, but we actually measure it to be the expansion to be accelerating. And we have no idea what dark energy is, but we know that something is required in order to produce the acceleration of the expansion of the universe. So these are the cosmic foundations that have produced for us life on this planet. So we have life, we have intelligent life. Perhaps we also have another branch coming out from here, which is artificial intelligence in the future. That may be something that's just as important as, you know, intelligent life and our species are. Artificial intelligence in the future could be another way that these cosmic foundations manifest themselves in trying to understand the nature of the universe. But to be quite honest, I think we have to be open to the possibility that there are other manifestations, there are other ways in which the universe tries to become conscious, to understand what it is and how it has evolved. So perhaps there's actually something more than just biological life. Perhaps there are other manifestations of intelligence in the universe. And I think one thing that SETI tells us is that we have to be open to those kind of possibilities. We just can't go and look for the sort of signals and the technology and the signatures that we produce. We actually need to think more broadly than that, perhaps, if we're going to make a widespread detection of intelligence in the universe. I would honestly like to think that there's a huge variety. If you imagine this branching, there are many different ways that intelligence can manifest itself. There are many different fruits and leaves and many different branches, and we're just one possibility, but there may be other things out there that are equally trying to comprehend the universe and its evolution and how it started. So SETI, I believe, one of the great things about SETI is it really makes us think about things. It makes us think about our own future. It makes us think about the universe and what the universe is and all the different things that might be in the universe and how they evolve and how we can interact with them, how we can detect them. One thing in particular that I think it makes us think about is, is there something special about us? I think that's an interesting question. As a physicist, we're always taught that, there's this sort of principle of mediocrity, that there's nothing special about this planet. Nothing special about its position with respect to the sun or where it finds itself in the galaxy. There's nothing special about us. That this can happen anywhere in the Milky Way or anywhere in the universe. Intelligence can arise. Biologists would question that. So physicists are pretty dumb when they think about this. But a biologist will, at least many biologists, will try and tell you that intelligent life is actually a fluke. It's a very rare event. Many random things had to happen for intelligence to appear on this planet. Now, to be honest, I find that difficult to believe. I think every time we've tried to think of ourselves as being special, we've found out that in fact we're not special. The fact that we have exoplanets, for example, we knew there were planets around the sun, and physicists thought, well, there must be other planets around other stars, and that's exactly what we find. But it is possible that we are actually special, that there's something really interesting and special about our species and intelligent life on this planet. And as I mentioned before, SETI makes us think about our own future because we know that this longevity, the length of time that a civilization exists, is important for the pursuit of finding these signals. So I think what is really worrying would be if there was something special about us, if we were the only manifestation of intelligence in the galaxy or in the universe. To me, that would be really quite frightening. And I think Arthur C. Clarke, the science fiction writer, but also the futurist, really summed that up quite well in this quote. Either we are alone in the universe or we are not. Both possibilities are equally terrifying. And I honestly believe that. If we're alone in the universe, that's pretty terrifying. If we're really all that there is in terms of intelligent life. But also, if there are many other forms of intelligent life out there, that's pretty terrifying. What will they be like? Will they look like us? Will they dance? Will they smile? Will they be happy and sad? Will they love each other? Will they be religious? All those kind of things make, for me, SETI absolutely fascinating. I want to know the answer to those kind of questions, and I think many people here in this room feel the same way. So, if we are special, if we really are special, then I think that also means that we need to think about, ourselves. We need to think about our future. We want to be around for a long time. We want to see this civilization that we have now do the amazing things that it could do, travel to other stars, for example, colonize other planetary systems. And if we want to do that, then we probably have to live our lives rather differently from the way we do it at the moment. Our civilization, as wonderful as it is, all the technology we see around us is not sustainable. We cannot keep on using the resources of the planet at the rate at which we've done for the last 50 years. That's just impossible. The planet is finite. It only has a finite number of resources. So we have to do something completely different from the way we've done it in the past if we want to continue this technical civilization. So I think we have to certainly look after our planet in a much better way than we've done in the past. And we have to look after each other. I think we're all on this amazing journey, on this fantastic spaceship. The Earth is the best possible spaceship you can imagine. It goes round the sun once every year. It goes round the center of the galaxy every 250 million years. It has these wonderful, pleasant conditions that we have here in Thailand and in other parts of the planet. We really need to look after it. But we also We have to share the resources of this planet with every other person that's here. We have to get away from the idea that we have countries with national borders, that we all have different cultures and we have wars. We have to try and understand that we need to work together. If we really want to realize the potential of this species, of the human species, we have to do things differently now than we have in the past. We have a fantastic opportunity to do that. I see so many young people here. You know, you have the opportunity of doing great things, but you have to do them differently than we, the older people, have done in the past. So I shall leave it there and leave you with a summary. Thank you very much.
Thank you to you, Professor Michael Garrett. Another interesting presentation there. Very frightening about the self-inflicted extinction bit, though. So we really do have to work together and make sure that we're going towards like a greener, cleaner path, right? It's you guys here, not to put pressure on you. Okay, well, basically, theories were shared on why we haven't made the connection yet with other intelligent life forms. Professor talked about technology, our technology not being advanced enough. That was one theory. We humans not being intelligent enough. And one more there, which I thought was very interesting, that we weren't special enough for them wanting to make connections with us. So they, the other intelligent life forms, are not interested in reaching out because we're not interesting. We're not special enough for them. All right, so we'll continue to discuss more about this. And who does have any questions at this point? Hands up. Questions, questions, questions. Great. We encourage questions. Questions? Okay, I'm very happy he's got his hand. You will have a question. We'll save them for the Q&A later, all right? Because we're going to go through... No, because I do want to stimulate everybody, you know, and make sure that this session here is a really active one. Okay, and we do want all of you to participate. And as they're here, flying in from the UK, from the US, you should really seize this opportunity to clarify your thoughts, your questions, okay? Your suggestions, input, everything is welcomed. All right, moving on now, we're going to be finding out about NARIT's involvement with SETI research and its benefits for advanced technology development and human capacity building. We will now be hearing from Dr. Saran Poshaya-Tinda, Executive Director of NARIT. A warm welcome to you.
สวัสดีครับขออนุญาตพูดเป็นภาษาไทยนะครับผมคงไม่สามารถพูดเป็นภาษาอังกฤษได้เก่งเหมือนวิทยากรทั้งสองท่านนะครับเข้าใจว่าเราฟังมาทั้งหมดเนี่ยถ้าดูหัวข้อของ Special Talk วันนี้คือไขปริศนาเนี่ยผมกลับคิดว่าเรากลับมีปริศนามากขึ้นทุกทีนะครับมีแต่คำถามทั้งนั้นเลยนะครับผมอยากจะเริ่มการบรรยายนะครับอาจจะซ้ำกับสองท่านบ้างนะฮะบางส่วนแต่ว่าคิดว่าเป็นโอกาสที่ดีที่จะมาเล่าให้พวกเราฟังว่าสำหรับประเทศไทยนะครับซึ่งเรามีสถาบันวิจัยดาราศาสตร์แห่งชาตินะครับมีขีดความสามารถอะไรบ้างนะครับแล้วก็ในอนาคตเราจะมีโอกาสที่จะร่วมในการ ไขปริศนานะครับกับต่างประเทศอย่างไรบ้างนะครับหากเราถามนักดาราศาสตร์100 คนนะครับในโลกนะครับว่าเชื่อไหมว่ามีสิ่งมีชีวิตนะครับที่อื่นนะฮะที่ในระบบดาวเคราะห์อื่นๆนอกโลกไปนะฮะผมคิดว่าเกือบ 100% นะครับเกือบทั้ง100 คนจะตอบว่าเชื่อว่าเป็นไปได้นะครับแต่หากเราเปลี่ยนคำถามนั้นนะครับเป็นว่าแล้วมีโอกาสไหมนะครับที่จะมีสิ่งมีชีวิตนะครับที่มีสติปัญญานะครับหรือว่า intelligence นะที่มีเทคโนโลยีอย่างที่มนุษย์ทำได้ในปัจจุบันหรือว่าสูงกว่าที่มนุษย์มีอยู่เนี่ยนะครับผมคิดว่าคำตอบอาจจะลงเหลือสักครึ่งหนึ่งนะครับแล้วถ้าเกิดเรายังถามนักดาราศาสตร์นะครับหรือนักวิทยาศาสตร์ทั้ง100 คนนั้นว่าแล้วในชั่วชีวิตเนี่ยคิดว่ามีโอกาสไหมที่เราจะสามารถติดต่อสื่อสารนะครับกับสิ่งมีชีวิตที่มีสติปัญญาเหล่านั้นนะฮะที่มีความเฉลียวฉลาดเหมือนกับที่เราทำการสื่อสารกันบนโลกนะครับผมคิดว่าคำตอบของนักวิทยาศาสตร์จะที่มีความเชื่อว่าเป็นไปได้จะเหลือไม่กี่คนนะครับ เพราะฉะนั้นจริงๆแล้วอย่างที่เราเห็นในขั้นต้นว่าหลังจากที่โลกเย็นตัวลงนะครับไม่นานนะครับมีสภาพทางด้านเคมีนะครับทางด้านสิ่งแวดล้อมที่เหมาะสมชีวิตก็เกิดขึ้นมาบนโลกนะครับไม่ยากเลยนะครับจากสิ่งมีชีวิตง่ายๆนะครับที่อาจจะมีรูปแบบในช่วงแรกๆอาจจะไม่ถือเป็นสิ่งมีชีวิตด้วยซ้ำไปคล้ายๆกับไวรัสนะครับเป็นไซยาโนแบคทีเรียนะครับเป็นสัตว์เป็นพืชนะครับจนกระทั่งมาเป็นมนุษย์หลายสายพันธุ์ด้วยกันนะครับถ้าใครที่ได้อ่านหนังสือที่โด่งดังในช่วงปี2ปีที่ผ่านมาทั้ง3เล่มนะครับเรื่อง Sapiens นะครับเรื่อง Homo Deus หรือว่าเล่มที่3ที่เรื่อง21 Lessons in 21st Century นะครับจะพบว่ามีหลายสิ่งหลายอย่างที่น่าสนใจมากยกตัวอย่างเช่นในขณะที่มนุษย์โฮโมเซเปียนเราเกิดขึ้นมาเนี่ยเราไม่ได้เป็นสปีชีส์เดียวนะครับของเผ่าพันธุ์มนุษย์นะครับมีอีกหลายสปีชีส์ที่เกิดคู่ขนานกันไม่ว่าจะเป็นมนุษย์นีแอนเดอร์ทัลนะฮะหรือว่าล่าสุดที่มีการเจอที่เกาะฟอเรสต์นะครับที่ประเทศอินโดนีเซียก็คือที่ถ้ำเหลียงบัวหรือว่าเราเรียกว่าเป็น The Hobbit นะฮะเกิดขึ้นมาในเวลาใกล้เคียงกันนะครับ แต่ว่าเราไม่ทราบว่ามีสิ่งใดนะครับที่เกิดขึ้นที่ทำให้เมื่อประมาณ 60,000 ปีที่แล้วเนี่ยนะครับเกิดกระบวนการที่เขาเรียกว่าเป็น cognitive revolution นะครับแล้วมนุษย์นะฮะ Homo sapien นะฮะอย่างพวกเราก็เริ่มออกจากแอฟริกานะครับจริงๆแล้วเนี่ยมนุษย์เผ่าพันธุ์ก่อนหน้าเราเนี่ยออกมาจากแอฟริกาแล้วนะครับเรามีหลักฐานนะครับของฟอสซิลของมนุษย์ Homo erectus ที่ลำปางนะฮะเราเจอที่ปักกิ่งนะฮะเจอที่เกาะชวาแล้วก็อีกหลายแห่งในโลกนะครับแต่ว่ามนุษย์โฮโมเซเปียนเพิ่งจะออกมาจากแอฟริกาได้แค่ 60,000 ปีนะครับและจาก 60,000 ปีมานะครับในช่วงแรกๆเนี่ยมนุษย์นะครับโฮโมเซเปียนนะครับคือบรรพบุรุษของพวกเราเนี่ยครับดำรงชีวิตอยู่แบบชนิดที่เรียกว่าเป็น hunter gatherer นะครับไม่ได้อยู่อย่างที่มีที่เราเรียกว่าเป็น civilization หรือว่าอารยธรรมนะครับแล้วก็เกิดอะไรไม่ทราบนะครับเมื่อ 12,000 ปีที่แล้วนี่เองนะครับเกิดการมนุษย์ก็เริ่มทำการเกษตรนะครับเริ่มมีการอยู่ร่วมกันมากขึ้นนะครับเกิดศาสนาขึ้นนะครับเป็นครั้งแรกนะครับแล้วก็เกิดสิ่งที่เราเรียกว่าอารยธรรมนะครับเกิดการรวมกันเป็นกลุ่มนะครับในที่สุดก็เป็นเมืองขนาดใหญ่นะครับจนมาถึงปัจจุบันจาก 12,000 ปีที่ผ่านมานะครับเพิ่งจะ200 ปีเท่านั้นเองที่เกิดปฏิวัติอุตสาหกรรมนะครับการพัฒนาเทคโนโลยีเกิดขึ้นรวดเร็วมากหลังการปฏิวัติอุตสาหกรรมนะครับจนกระทั่งนำมาถึงเมื่อ100 ปีที่แล้วนะครับที่มนุษย์มีขีดความสามารถครั้งแรกนะครับที่จะใช้คลื่นวิทยุในการทำการติดต่อสื่อสารระหว่างกันเองได้นะครับเพิ่งจะ100 ปีเท่านั้นเองทั้งหมดที่เล่ามาเนี่ยนะครับก็จะบอกให้ฟังว่าการเกิดชีวิตนั้นไม่ยากนะฮะแต่ว่าการเกิดสิ่งมีชีวิตที่มีสติปัญญานะครับแล้วก็มีเทคโนโลยีด้วยเนี่ยเกิดได้ยากมากอย่างน้อยก็ในกรณีของโลกเรานะครับที่เราเห็นในช่วงที่เรามีเทคโนโลยีที่สามารถที่จะติดต่อสื่อสารนะครับระหว่างกันได้นะครับแบบไร้สายเนี่ยนะครับเป็นแค่เศษเสี้ยวนะครับของเวลาทั้งหมดตั้งแต่โลกเราเกิดขึ้นมาในช่วง 4,000 กว่าล้านปีนะครับคราวนี้ลองจินตนาการดูว่าถ้ามีสิ่งมีชีวิตที่มีสติปัญญาเฉลียวฉลาดและมีเทคโนโลยีอย่างเช่นพวกเรานะครับหรือดีกว่าพวกเรานะครับขออนุญาตเรียกนะฮะที่คนทั่วไปชอบเรียกว่าเอเลี่ยนแล้วกันนะครับถ้ามีเอเลี่ยนที่อยู่ในระยะห่างจากโลกประมาณ100 ปีแสงนะครับแล้วเขามีเทคโนโลยีที่เราแบบที่เรามีหรือดีกว่าที่เรามีนะครับป่านนี้ก็คงจะเริ่มรับสัญญาณวิทยุที่มนุษย์ส่งไปครั้งแรกได้แล้วนะครับแล้วลองจินตนาการอีกว่าถ้าเกิดมีเอเลี่ยนนะครับที่อยู่ในระยะห่างจากโลกไปประมาณ50 ปีแสงนะครับป่านนี้เมื่อเขาได้รับสัญญาณจากเรานะครับแล้วเขาพยายามจะเซฮัลโหลกลับมานะครับสัญญาณเหล่านั้นก็อาจจะเริ่มมาถึงโลกแล้วก็ได้นะครับเมื่อก่อนปี 1995 นะครับนักดาราศาสตร์เรานะครับจริงๆมนุษย์เรารู้จักดาวเคราะห์แค่9 ดวงนะครับก็คือดาวพุธดาวศุกร์นะครับโลกอังคารพฤหัสเสาร์ยูเรนัสเนปจูนแล้วก็พลูโตนะครับแต่ตั้งแต่ปี 1995 เป็นต้นมานะครับนักดาราศาสตร์มีการค้นพบดาวเคราะห์นอกระบบสุริยะเป็นครั้งแรกที่ระบบดาวฤกษ์ที่เรียกว่า51 เปกาซีนะครับซึ่งนักวิทยาศาสตร์ที่ทำการค้นพบดาวเคราะห์นอกระบบสุริยะหรือ extrasolar planet นะครับหรือ exoplanet ได้เป็นครั้งแรก ได้รับรางวัลโนเบลสาขาฟิสิกส์ในปีนี้นะครับทราบไหมครับว่าปัจจุบันเรามีเทคโนโลยีที่ก้าวหน้ามากนะครับแล้วก็ปัจจุบันนักดาราศาสตร์นะครับค้นพบดาวเคราะห์นอกระบบสุริยะแล้วมากกว่า 4,000 ดวงนะครับที่มีการรับรองอย่างเป็นทางการนะครับแล้วก็เป็นที่น่ายินดีนะครับว่ามีบุคลากรของสถาบันวิจัยดาราศาสตร์แห่งชาตินะครับได้มีส่วนร่วมในการค้นพบนะครับดาวเคราะห์ถึง11ดวงนะครับและบางท่านก็นั่งอยู่ในห้องนี้ด้วยนะครับสนใจลองถามเขาได้นะครับสิ่งหนึ่งที่เราทราบแน่นอนก็คือว่านะครับในปัจจุบันเนี่ยเราประมาณได้เลยว่าเฉพาะในทางช้างเผือกของเราเนี่ยมีจำนวนดาวเคราะห์นะครับมากกว่าดาวฤกษ์อันนี้ชัดเจนนะครับเหมือนกับในระบบสุริยะของเราซึ่งมีดาวเคราะห์ตอนนี้เหลือ8ดวงนะฮะไม่ใช่9ดวงแล้วนะครับเพราะว่าพลูโตไม่ถูกถือว่าเป็นดาวเคราะห์นะครับแล้วก็ในทางช้างเผือกของเรานะครับมีการประมาณกันว่าดาวเคราะห์ที่มีลักษณะคล้ายโลกก็คืออันแรกก็คือเป็นหินแข็งนะครับไม่ได้เป็นแก๊สแพลเน็ตนะครับแล้วก็อยู่ใน habitable zone นะครับเมื่อกี้ได้ฟังแล้วนะครับว่า habitable zone ก็คือวงโคจรที่ดาวเคราะห์โคจรอยู่รอบๆดาวฤกษ์นะครับซึ่งมีอุณหภูมิมีสภาพทางฟิสิกส์เหมาะสมที่น้ำจะสามารถอยู่ในสภาวะที่เป็นของเหลวได้นะครับมีการประมาณว่าดาวเคราะห์ที่มีลักษณะคล้ายโลกนะครับที่โคจรอยู่รอบดาวฤกษ์คล้ายๆดวงอาทิตย์นะครับไม่ใช่ดาวฤกษ์ขนาดเล็กหรือว่าดาวฤกษ์ขนาดใหญ่นะครับดาวฤกษ์แบบดวงอาทิตย์เลยพูดง่ายๆนะครับเฉพาะในทางช้างเผือกของเรามีอยู่มากกว่า 10,000 ล้านดวงนะฮะทุกคนต้องตั้งคำถามทันทีว่ามันจะเป็นไปไม่ได้เชียวเหรอว่าใน10,000 ล้านดวงเนี่ยจะมีชีวิตนะมีสิ่งมีชีวิตนะครับเช่นเดียวกับที่อยู่บนโลกเรานะครับและดาวเคราะห์คล้ายโลกที่มีการค้นพบนะครับใกล้ที่สุดเนี่ยอยู่ห่างออกไปแค่4ปีแสงเท่านั้นเองนะครับก็คือดาว Proxima Centauri b นะครับซึ่งดาว Proxima Centauri เนี่ยเป็นดาวฤกษ์ที่ใกล้เราที่สุดนะครับอยู่ห่างไป4ปีแสงแต่ว่า Proxima Centauri b เนี่ยนักดาราศาสตร์เราทราบดีว่ามันเป็นดาวแคระแดงนะครับหรือว่า Red Dwarf นะครับเพราะฉะนั้นhabitable zone ของมันนี่อยู่ใกล้ตัวดาวฤกษ์มากนะครับทำให้เกิด tidal force นะฮะดึงทำให้ไอ้เจ้าดาวเคราะห์ที่อยู่ใน habitable zone ของ Proxima Centauri เนี่ยนะครับไม่หมุนรอบตัวเองนะฮะเมื่อเทียบกับดาวฤกษ์นะครับแบบเดียวกับที่ดวงจันทร์หันด้านเดียวเข้าหาโลกนะครับก็เลยไม่แน่ใจว่าบน Proxima Centauri b เนี่ยจะมีพัฒนาการจนกระทั่งเกิดสิ่งมีชีวิตได้แบบที่เกิดบนโลกหรือไม่นะครับลองจินตนาการนะครับว่าถ้าเราเป็นเอเลี่ยนนะฮะที่มีเทคโนโลยีและส่องกล้องดูโลกนะครับเมื่อกี้เราได้ยินคำอยู่2คำนะครับคำแรกก็คือ bio signature นะครับถ้าเขามีกล้องดูดาวที่ส่องกล้องมาที่โลกนะครับแล้วศึกษาสเปกตรัมของบรรยากาศโลกได้เนี่ยเขาจะทราบทันทีว่าที่นี่มีสิ่งมีชีวิตอยู่ตั้งแต่อดีตมาแล้วนะครับไม่ว่าจะเป็นโมเลกุลของออกซิเจนนะครับซึ่งบรรยากาศของโลกนะครับเป็นดาวเคราะห์ดวงเดียวในระบบสุริยะนะฮะที่มีบรรยากาศที่มีออกซิเจนถึง 20% นะครับที่อื่นบรรยากาศหลักๆนี่จะเป็นคาร์บอนไดออกไซด์นะครับอันนี้ก็เป็นเรื่องทางเคมีธรรมดานะครับเพราะว่าถ้ามีออกซิเจนอยู่นะครับแล้วก็ไม่มีสิ่งมีชีวิตนะครับปกติแล้วสารประกอบของออกซิเจนก็จะเกิดได้ไม่ยากนักอย่างเช่นกลายเป็นคาร์บอนไดออกไซด์นะครับแล้วยังมีโมเลกุลอื่นๆเช่นมีเทนนะฮะหรือเขาอาจจะพบการดูดกลืนแสงนะฮะที่แปลกมากนะครับจากโมเลกุลที่แปลกประหลาดเช่นคลอโรฟิลนะฮะที่อยู่ในพืชนะฮะบนโลกนะครับเหล่านี้เป็น bio signature นะครับแล้วถ้าเกิดเขาใช้กล้องดูดาวนั้นนะครับส่องในช่วงเวลาไม่กี่ปีที่ผ่านมานะครับสัญญาณจากโลกที่ไปถึงแสงจากโลกก็ใช้เวลาเดินทางเท่ากับระยะทางเป็นปีแสงถูกไหมครับเพราะมันเดินทางได้เร็วเท่าแสงนะครับดังนั้นเขาอาจจะพบโมเลกุลนะครับของสิ่งที่มันไม่เกิดขึ้นง่ายๆในธรรมชาติอย่างเช่นสารประกอบคลอโรฟลูโรคาร์บอนนะฮะหรือ CFC นะครับที่เราเคยปล่อยไปมากมายขึ้นไปทำลายโอโซนนะครับเขาอาจจะทราบทันทีว่าบนโลกนี้ไม่ใช่มีแค่สิ่งมีชีวิตแต่เป็นสิ่งมีชีวิตที่มีเทคโนโลยีในการสร้างสารประกอบเหล่านี้ด้วยนะครับคราวนี้ลองมาดูว่าจริงๆแล้วเนี่ยบรรยากาศของโลกเนี่ยนะครับค่อนข้างจะทึบมากเลยนะฮะในช่วงของคลื่นแม่เหล็กไฟฟ้าความยาวคลื่นต่างๆแสงเอ็กซเรย์อัลตราไวโอเลตไม่สามารถที่จะทะลุได้นะครับแสงในช่วงคลื่นที่ตามองเห็นหรือ visible light เนี่ยทะลุได้ดีนะครับแล้วก็นอกจากนั้นก็จะมีพวกอินฟราเรดในบางส่วนนะครับแล้วก็คลื่นวิทยุนะครับที่ความถี่ต่ำคลื่นวิทยุความถี่สูงมากๆก็ทะลุผ่านได้ยากเนื่องจากมีความชื้นอยู่ในอากาศนะครับ คราวนี้ลองมาดูว่าในส่วนของการเกิดคลื่นวิทยุนะครับระหว่างส่วนที่เป็นแมนเมดนะฮะหรือว่าไม่ใช่คลื่นวิทยุที่มาจากธรรมชาติมันมีความแตกต่างกันอย่างสิ้นเชิงนะครับดาวพฤหัสเนี่ยเป็นดาวเคราะห์ที่ปลดปล่อยคลื่นวิทยุนะครับที่แรงที่สุดนะครับในระบบสุริยะแต่คลื่นวิทยุของดาวพฤหัสเนี่ยมีลักษณะชัดเจนนะครับว่าเกิดจากธรรมชาติเพราะว่ามีแบนด์วิดท์นะหรือมีความกว้างของช่วงความยาวคลื่นเนี่ยนะครับไม่ได้เป็นแบบแคบๆที่เราใช้ในการติดต่อสื่อสารนะครับแต่คลื่นวิทยุตั้งแต่ยุคของมาโคนีนะฮะจนกระทั่งถึงปัจจุบันที่เราใช้โทรศัพท์มือถือ 4G 5G นะครับเราใช้ในคลื่นวิทยุในช่วงที่ความถี่ต่างๆแต่ว่ามีแบนด์วิดท์นะฮะมีช่องสัญญาณที่มีความถี่ที่แคบมากนอกจากนั้นแล้วเนี่ยคลื่นวิทยุที่ส่งมาจากโลกนะครับที่เราใช้ในการสื่อสารในการกระจายเสียงวิทยุทีวีนะครับเรามีการใส่ข้อมูลเข้าไปด้วยใช่ไหมครับเทคนิคทางวิศวกรรมนี้เราเรียกว่าเป็น modulation ใช่ไหมฮะถ้า modulate ในช่วงของ amplitude เราก็เรียกว่าเป็น AM ใช่ไหมหรือว่า amplitude modulation หรือถ้าเกิดเป็นในเรื่องของ frequency ก็เป็น frequency modulation เพราะฉะนั้นถ้ามีเอเลี่ยนที่อยู่ห่างออกไปไม่เกิน100 ปีแสงแล้วเขารับคลื่นวิทยุจากบริเวณแถวๆดวงอาทิตย์เราได้แล้วพบว่ามี modulation เนี่ยเขารู้แน่ๆว่าต้องมีเอเลี่ยนนะครับอยู่อีกเผ่าพันธุ์หนึ่งที่บริเวณใกล้ๆกับดวงอาทิตย์ของเรานะครับผมอยากจะเรียนให้ทราบว่าให้พวกเราภูมิใจนะครับเราปัจจุบันเราทำงานมามากกว่า10 ปีนะครับที่สถาบันวิจัยดาราศาสตร์แห่งชาติเรามีกล้องโทรทัศน์นะครับในที่ตั้งอยู่ที่ดอยอินทนนท์นะครับขนาดเส้นผ่าศูนย์กลาง 2.4 เมตรนะครับความจริงเกือบจะเหมือนกันเป๊ะนะฮะกับกล้องในโครงการ Breakthrough Listen นะครับที่อยู่ที่แคลิฟอร์เนียนะครับเป็นกล้องขนาดเดียวกันเลยนะครับแล้วสร้างโดยผู้สร้างเดียวกันด้วยนะครับนอกจากนี้แล้วเนี่ยเรายังมีอุปกรณ์รับสัญญาณนะครับที่ใช้นะครับในการศึกษา exoplanet นะฮะไม่ว่าจะเป็นultra spec นะครับที่ใช้ในการศึกษา transit นะฮะคือการผ่านหน้าดาวฤกษ์นะฮะของดาวเคราะห์นะครับเมื่อเราเห็นแสงที่ลดลงนะครับจากการผ่านหน้าเราก็จะทราบได้ว่าที่ดาวฤกษ์นั้นมีดาวเคราะห์หรือไม่นะครับเรายังมีการพัฒนานะครับสเปกโทรกราฟที่ใช้ในการค้นหาดาวเคราะห์นอกระบบสุริยะคล้ายๆกับที่นักวิทยาศาสตร์ที่ได้รางวัลโนเบลในปีนี้ใช้เลยนะครับกำลังสร้างโดยคนไทยนะครับแล้วก็พัฒนาอยู่ที่สถาบันวิจัยดาราศาสตร์แห่งชาตินะครับเรายังมีการพัฒนาอุปกรณ์ที่เรียกว่าโคโรนากราฟนะซึ่งทันสมัยมากนะครับเป็นคอนเซปต์แรกๆในโลกนะครับที่คือเอวาโกนะครับที่สามารถจะแยกแสงของดาวฤกษ์กับดาวเคราะห์นะครับแล้วก็สามารถที่จะตรวจวัดทั้งแสงทั้งจาก2วัตถุพร้อมๆกันได้นะครับซึ่งยังไม่เคยมีใครทำมาก่อนนะครับกำลังพัฒนาอยู่นะครับแล้วถ้าเกิดเราสามารถจะวัดสเปกตรัมของดาวเคราะห์นะครับที่มีการศึกษานั้นได้นะครับเราก็อาจจะเจอไบโอซิกเนเจอร์ก็เป็นได้ถูกไหมครับที่ผ่านมาเรายังไม่ได้เข้าร่วมโครงการเซตินะครับอย่างเป็นทางการนะครับแต่วันนี้ก็ได้มีการพูดคุยกันคราวนี้ผมจะเล่าให้ฟังถึงอีกโครงการหนึ่งที่เราน่าภาคภูมิใจก็คือนะครับในเวลาไม่นานนะครับเราจะมีขีดความสามารถเพิ่มขึ้นมาอีกขีดความสามารถหนึ่งก็คือเรากำลังอยู่ในกระบวนการที่สร้างกล้องโทรทัศน์นะครับในช่วงคลื่นวิทยุนะครับที่มีขนาดเส้นผ่าศูนย์กลาง40 เมตรนะครับภาพซ้ายมือนี่เป็นภาพล่าสุดนะครับที่ในบริเวณศูนย์ศึกษาพัฒนาห้วยห้องไคร้อันเนื่องมาจากพระราชดำรินะครับได้รับพระราชทานที่ให้สร้างอยู่ในหุบเขานะครับซึ่งสามารถที่จะบดบังการรบกวนของคลื่นวิทยุในบริเวณรอบๆได้นะครับแล้วก็มีขนาดที่ไม่เล็กเลยนะครับอาจจะเล็กกว่าที่กรีนแบงค์หรือว่าที่จอร์เดลแบงค์บ้างนะครับแต่ว่าก็มีขีดความสามารถสูงสามารถที่จะรับสัญญาณได้ในช่วงตั้งแต่ไม่กี่ร้อยเมกะเฮิรตซ์นะครับจนกระทั่งถึงความถี่115กิกะเฮิรตซ์นะครับแล้วก็กำลังมีการพัฒนาเครื่องรับสัญญาณก็คือ L-band receiver แบบเดียวกับที่โครงการเซติใช้นะครับนอกจากกล้องโทรทัศน์ในช่วงคลื่นวิทยุหรือว่าอุปกรณ์รับสัญญาณเรายังมี high performance คอมพิวเตอร์นะครับมีคอมพิวเตอร์ที่มีขีดความสามารถสูงเมื่อกี้คงได้ยินว่าจริงๆแล้วการทำโครงการเซติหรือแม้กระทั่งการท การวิจัยศึกษาทางด้านดาราศาสตร์ใดๆก็ตามเนี่ยนะครับมันถูกจำกัดด้วยเทคโนโลยีนะครับมันถูกจำกัดด้วยเทคโนโลยีก็คือว่าถ้าเราต้องการมีการศึกษาค้นคว้าหรือพบอะไรใหม่ๆนะครับเราต้องพัฒนาเทคโนโลยีใหม่ๆขึ้นมานะครับให้เพียงพอต่อการศึกษานั้นนะครับที่เรายังรับสัญญาณไม่ได้หมายความว่าจะไม่มีใช่ไหมครับเมื่อกี้ที่เราได้ยินนะครับแต่เมื่อเวลาผ่านไปเทคโนโลยีที่เราพัฒนาดีขึ้นไปนะครับโอกาสที่จะมีการค้นพบสิ่งใหม่ๆเหล่านั้นก็จะเกิดขึ้นได้นะครับอยากจะเรียนว่ามันอาจจะฟังดูเลื่อนลอยนะครับหรือว่าในนักวิทยาศาสตร์บางคนอาจจะบอกว่าการทำโครงการแบบนี้อาจจะเสียเวลาเปล่านะครับแต่ในความคิดเห็นของผมเนี่ยต่างกันนะครับก็คือว่าในการทำงานทางด้าน frontier นะฮะในวิทยาศาสตร์หรือแม้กระทั่งอย่างโครงการเซติเนี่ยนะครับไม่ได้มีความเลื่อนลอยนะครับหากมีการค้นพบนะฮะไม่จำเป็นต้องเจอเอเลี่ยนนะครับแค่เจอว่ามีสิ่งมีชีวิตอยู่ที่ใดที่หนึ่งนะครับนอกโลกเราไปแม้กระทั่งในระบบสุริยะของเราเองที่ดวงจันทร์ยูโรปาของดาวพฤหัสที่ดวงจันทร์เอนซิลาดัสหรือแม้กระทั่งบนดาวอังคารแม้กระทั่งเป็นสิ่งมีชีวิตง่ายๆนะครับการค้นพบอันนั้นจะเป็นการค้นพบที่ยิ่งใหญ่ที่สุดของมนุษยชาตินะครับในศตวรรษที่21นะครับและถึงแม้ว่าเราจะยังค้นไม่พบนะครับเราก็ไม่ถือว่าล้มเหลวเพราะว่าสิ่งที่จะเกิดขึ้นนะครับกับการศึกษาหรือการเข้าร่วมโครงการต่างๆเหล่านี้นะครับจะนำมาซึ่งการพัฒนาทักษะนะครับศักยภาพของบุคลากรของเราไม่ว่าจะเป็นนักดาราศาสตร์นะครับวิศวกรนะครับช่างเทคนิคโปรแกรมเมอร์นะครับหรือแม้กระทั่งเด็กๆนะครับที่อยู่ในห้องนี้ที่ได้รับแรงบันดาลใจนะครับแล้วก็จะนำมาซึ่งการความสามารถในการพัฒนาประเทศไทยต่อไปในอนาคตครับขอบคุณมากครับ
Thank you very much. Dr. Saran, if you can kindly remain on stage with us, please, as we're going to go straight into the panel discussion. But if you could kindly step forward or perhaps to one side as they're going to bring the stools up here. So basically, you started from the very beginning when chemistry creates biology. And you talked about the evolution of humankind and Homo sapiens from Africa 60,000 years ago, the cognitive revolution from hunters to civilization, and then the start of the agriculture and the industrial revolution, and now the 4.0 AI disruption, digital revolution, etc., etc., etc. You also talked about the discovery of new planets, different frequencies, and what was really interesting is that he highlighted the advancement in technology that we Thais should be very proud of, and you saw the photos up on the big screen there, be it the Thai National Observatory detailing other programs and developments such as the National Radio Telescope, equivalent to those abroad, etc. All right, we'll go straight into the panel discussion, inviting once again Dr. Andrew Simeon, Professor Michael Garrett, and Dr. Saran Boshatinda. Back on the stage, please. Do join us once again. So, we do have some questions that came in online before the start of our event today. So we'll go through those very quickly, and then we will give you, the audience, the opportunity to ask your questions to the guests here with me. So the first question, actually I have so many questions of my own, but I will stick to the script first, okay? Because we've got to give them priority. And as they did intently send in their questions, and they want the answer from you. So we'll begin with a reflection on this first question. If Dr. Andrew and Professor Michael could tell us if there is evidence so far that there is actually a life form beyond our own here on planet Earth. Is there evidence of that?
No.
No.
No. Yeah.
So
in short.
Okay.
But I will add that there is in fact life beyond the Earth, because human beings have sent it there. Just very recently, we heard about the fact that a recent mission to the moon had brought along a very hardy form of life that we have here on Earth called tardigrades, a small organism that actually impacted on the moon along with this mission. So I think although we at the moment have no evidence for life beyond the Earth, we do know that as human beings we have the capacity to send life beyond our planet, which is quite amazing indeed.
Did you want to add to that, Professor Michael?
No, I think Andrew's absolutely
All right. Fair enough.
No evidence so far, unfortunately. Yeah.
Okay, so what if we did discover something? Right, and what would be the first thing that we would have to do? Do we openly welcome them? Hello, welcome to planet Earth, or should we be a little bit more sort of like holding back and be a bit more protective of our environment? This sounds a bit like a Hollywood movie here, but as a scientist, as an expert in this, what would the first thing be that we have to do? This is a question that came online. It's
okay. So maybe I take the first stab at this, but so there are a set of what we call the SETI protocols, which means that, for example, if someone who's doing astronomy or doing SETI, like Andrew is, if they discover a signal, then there are a set of sort of rules that are to be followed. So one of those rules would be if Andrew was to detect a signal using the Green Bank telescope, then that should be confirmed by a completely different telescope somewhere else in the world using a completely different system, just to make sure that it wasn't something internal to the telescopes at Green Bank. So it would have to be detected multiple times independently, I think, before we would have full confidence that it was an artificial signal. And once we were absolutely convinced that this was a signature of intelligence, then the next step actually is to take that to the United Nations, to the Secretary General of the United Nations, to inform her or he that this has been detected. Now, these are a whole set of regulations. Whether they would actually be followed in practice, I absolutely doubt. I think it's much more likely that it's some random astronomer somewhere in an observatory who discovers this and probably puts it on Twitter straight away so that everyone knows about it. I don't believe that there would ever be any sort of cover-up, for example, especially now at this point. But there are a set of protocols, but whether those protocols would actually be used, I wonder.
Okay, you have anything to add to that?
Well, I'll just add a personal anecdote that I don't think I became aware of these protocols until maybe 4 or 5 years ago. So I was doing SETI for a while before I knew that these protocols existed. So I don't know if I would have followed them.
Okay, all right. Now, if we did actually make a connection, what changes would we have to make to facilitate that? I'm just going to ask this in Thai as well, so we'll get some feedback from Dr. Saran. หากเราสามารถติดต่อกับสิ่งที่มีชีวิตต่างดาวได้โลกจะเปลี่ยนแปลงไปในทิศทางใด
Well, I think it's hard to imagine how much change that will be. But if you remember, I'm not quite sure if you have watched a movie called Contact. I think about 20 years ago, started by Jodie Foster. So after the discovery, I think a lot of people would be agitated, and some would do some silly things. And I don't know. I have no idea at all about this, what would happen, because it's hard to imagine, because people are all different. Some might see that as a part of religion, for example, like revelation. Some might see this as a scientific evidence. It all depends. It's hard to imagine. Maybe we need to hear from Andrew more. But to me, that would be a great discovery in our lifetime.
There's a great quote from that movie, Contact, which I think comes from a reporter that's being actually interviewed or giving an interview in the movie, which is that the implications are as awe-inspiring and far-reaching as could possibly be imagined. If we were to receive a message containing information, it really is impossible to imagine what kind of information that message might contain. But I think I guess I'll just add that there are many different scenarios through which we might make first contact with intelligent life. It could be the discovery of some very distant, very perhaps fundamental property of the universe that we eventually recognize as a manifestation of intelligence. Or it could be quite literally a spacecraft that travels to our solar system from another star. And I think these two scenarios would have very different reactions from the public. I think it's very different to imagine something, tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of light years away versus something that is just in our own backyard.
Right, when you talk about a spaceship landing here on Earth, I'm really thinking of Superman, and that would be really cool to have a Superman here, no? No? I think so.
Maybe I can just say something. I think, I tend to think that humans actually adapt to new things actually quite quickly. So I suspect that, there might be for maybe a few days huge excitement, obviously, but I think we would learn to live with it. I think the content of any communication that we receive, that would be really interesting. It might advance science, for example, in a few days by 100 years or maybe 10,000 years or even 1,000,000 years. That could be absolutely transformational. But I don't think people would have any problem sort of accepting the idea that there were other sort of intelligent species out there. I don't think religious entities would have any problem with this. I think they would adapt to that idea, most of them, without any problem. You see that they've adapted over history. It would be a quick adaptation for some of them, but I'm absolutely sure that most people would cope and most authorities and religions would cope pretty quickly, I think, with that idea.
Coexistence.
And someone would be trying to make money out of it as well. You can be sure of that.
Okay, let's move on to the next question. Now, is there a chance that there could be, I'm going to borrow the words from Dr. Saran here, that there could be aliens living among us? Could that be a possibility? Perhaps there's one in the room, sort of like trying to tap into our minds to discover how much we know about them. Is that possible?
Well, we could all be aliens, right, at some level.
We could. We are in our own right, I suppose,
Andrew made a good point in his talk that we're exchanging so much material, for example, between the Earth and Mars, and we even have interstellar visitors now from other star systems. It's quite possible that life here on this planet didn't start here, but actually started somewhere else. It maybe took root here and became what we see today. But I think that's one of the exciting things is the idea of panspermia, that even 10 years ago was considered almost kind of science fiction. We're beginning to see that actually there's real possibilities, of life being transferred from one planet to another planet, or even from one star to another star. So maybe at some level we're actually all aliens, one way or the other.
Anybody else wanting to add to that?
I'll just add one thing that, we have absolutely no, I should just say that we have absolutely no evidence that the Earth has ever been visited by any other life other than the life that we all see around us. Now, whether that life began here ab initio from the beginning or whether it was transported here, we don't know. But in fact, a very active area of research in a science called astrobiology, the study of life in general, beyond the Earth, is the concept of something called the Shadow Biosphere. So all of the life that we see on Earth, be it sort of large macro life like human beings or other animals, or microbial life like yeast or bacteria, all appears to have a common origin. It's all based on the same biochemistry. The molecules are all the same. It's all based on DNA. But it's possible that there is some other life, very small life probably, here on Earth that we just don't recognize as life. And there have been a number of investigations looking at this, but so far negative results.
Okay, so what about life outside? You know, perhaps somewhere in the galaxy, not needing to breathe oxygen like we do. Do you believe that that's in existence somewhere out there?
Well, as I mentioned during my talk, that here on Earth, life as we know it, we only know that life exists on Earth, right? We haven't found any evidence outside beyond the Earth. Life here happened very rapidly soon after the Earth cooled down. That implies that it's not difficult for life to happen anywhere when the conditions for chemistry, for biology, and when the conditions are met, then life can form very rapidly. And you know, the panspermia theory also very similar to that kind of argument. Even now, we might have infested life on the other planets like Mars. There have been many probes sent to Mars, and especially during the early age of the space race, there wasn't enough. What should I say? A protocol or methods for preventing life from Earth to piggyback on those probes to the other planets like Mars. There could have been already life on Mars that sent from Earth on those spacecraft. Well, so I think it's not difficult for life to happen, but you know that physics and chemistry should be universal everywhere. So it's hard to imagine, even though in the science fiction that life can be based on silicon, for example, not carbon. But because carbon is so abundant in the universe, and chemistry and physics the same everywhere as we know it, as far as we know it. So at least there should be something very similar or very common to what we have seen so far on the Earth. But for a more complex life like a human being or larger or more complex animals, it might depend on the environment more, like whether the gravity, how much gravity it is on that planet compared to the Earth, or whether there's light. We see visible light because we get sunlight, which peaks in the visible part of the spectrum, for example. We don't see infrared or ultraviolet because we evolved on this planet. Life may have come from other places on Earth, according to panspermia, but definitely we evolved here on Earth. And well, that's
Okay. All right. If I may, just throw a question to the audience here, especially to the cool kids over there, you know, and the distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen here. So we're talking about aliens, ET, extraterrestrial forms. Can I just see a show of hands? Do you think they exist? น้องๆคิดว่ามีจริงไหมนะถ้าใครบอกว่ามีจริงยกมือยกมือใครว่ามีจริงยกมือ Okay, great. I'm so happy. I believe it. I believe they exist as well. Okay, next question. พี่ๆทีมงานมีไมค์เพิ่มไหมคะขอไมค์ด้วยนะคะจะถามน้องๆหน่อยสิว่าน้องๆเชื่อว่ามันมีอยู่เนี่ยมันออกมาเป็นแบบหน้าตาลักษณะยังไง I just want to ask for some input from them, basically waking them up again, you know. Come back, attention here. I want to find out from them what they think aliens look like. Okay? Anybody who wants to respond? Nobody, you can't get this wrong, right? You cannot get this wrong. ไม่มีคำตอบที่ผิดไม่มีคำตอบที่ถูกเพราะเรายังไม่รู้ถูกไหมคะแต่อยากจะใช้จินตนาการน้องๆเนี่ยนิดนึง Okay. Oh, does it look like that? Does it, Dr. Saran? We don't know. I mean, this is what we think it could look like, but we're not sure. Anybody would like to input? ให้น้องคนนี้ก็ได้ What do you think an alien looks like? Cool, we want to hear what the younger generation think about this. คุณแม่ก็น่ารักสนับสนุนเต็มที่เลยนะคะว่าไงครับไม่ต้องเขินเลยไม่มีใครฟังน้องอยู่พูดกับพี่อยู่คนเดียวพูดอยู่กับพี่คนเดียว น้องมองว่าเอเลี่ยนมันหน้าตาเป็นยังไง
ก็น่าจะเหมือนเราเนี่ยค่ะ
เหมือนเรา
ครับ
โอ้ก็แปลว่าอาจจะแบบนั่งอยู่ตรงนี้ก็ได้ถ้าเหมือนเรามากอย่างเงี้ยป่ะอ๋อโอเคหน้าเหมือนเราไม่มีความพิเศษอะไรใดๆนอกเหนือจากความเป็นเหมือนมนุษย์เหมือนเราเหรอคะ
คิดว่าอย่างนั้นนะคะ
Okay anybody else would like to give us your thoughts on what they might look like he said that they probably look very similar to what we look like right I did a lot of watching YouTube etc and they were talking about what would they look like and a response which I thought was interesting was that it would depend on where they were discovered their environment because obviously like us we've adapted to planet Earth and they would have adapted to planet XYZ or whatever so if there's like they could be a bit chunkier so that they're held down etc or perhaps like a bit like grasshoppers depending on the environment over there etc so this is just something for the audience to think about do we have any questions at this point please we will take your questions now so we're just going to have the gentleman here give us his questions there are more on here that came in online but we'll just save them for later
I would first like to thank all three speakers today for your amazing talk. I would like to build on something Professor Michael talked about being open-minded. As we know, there's a possibility that there are other life forms which are silicon-based or not carbon-based like us. So from the researcher point of view, what parameters are set in place for us to kind of study other planets? Because for us, as Dr. Andrew said, that we are quite human biased. And how can we set and make sure that the thing that we are detecting can also come from other forms of life other than ours?
So I think one thing that can be really important, as I mentioned in my talk, is that clearly humans have a bias. We want to, for example, look for beings that look like ourselves, that are based on the carbon biology that we have. That come from planets that have water on them. We have a lot of biases. We want to detect radio signals like the signals we produce or laser signals like the signals we produce. And I think it's hard to get around that. When you're human, you have those biases. But I think the thing that's coming is artificial intelligence, the machine learning, where we can actually have an independent sort of intelligent system also begin to think about how we recognize intelligence in a much broader way than humans. So I think the first step will be to exploit this new kind of intelligence. Machines perhaps finding other machines or machines finding other biologies, different types of biologies. I think there's a huge opportunity here to kind of get away from the human-centric viewpoint of doing SETI and absolutely open it up in ways that we probably haven't even dreamed of yet. And that's all going to happen in the next 10 or 20 years. So people like yourself are going to see the benefits of that much more open approach to this whole topic.
Thank you for your question. Let's move on then. Okay, we'll just go in that order then, if I may. So you're next and then you. Can we do that? All right, thank you. Chen. All right, anybody. We'll hear him anyway. So yes, John, please.
Okay. I'd like to ask, it's a continuation of the last question actually, but at a much more basic level. And it's not really a question, but I'd like to pose a little thought experiment and ask the three speakers to guess the results bit. So it's a very simple experiment. We send a probe out, say to one of the icy moons of Saturn or Jupiter, and drill through and find water. So the methodology is straightforward. I'll take a liberty with the results section and say that we find something that looks like biological life on Earth, probably unicellular prokaryotic life. And I'd like you to guess what it might look like in this sense. As Thailand is inordinately keen on multiple choice exams, I'm going to set it as a multiple choice question. So A would be that it has RNA and DNA pretty similar to life on Earth, which is perhaps a panspermia thing. The second would be that it has chemical transmission that's kind of similar to DNA, maybe double helix and meiosis and stuff, but different neurobases. So chemically very different, which might, I suppose, suggest convergent evolution of some kind. Or thirdly, that it's something way beyond what we could have imagined as a transmission system. Which of those three would you bet on?
A.
Does he have to give reasons? No? Okay. All right, so A?
I would like it to be C. I think it might be B.
I like to say that, first of all, I think it's not a coincidence that we based on carbon, because carbon happens to be an atom that can form varieties of molecules, maybe more than other atoms in the periodic table. Life beyond Earth might not have to be based on DNA and RNA, because DNA and RNA probably governs reproduction and the synthesis of proteins. So life might not have to be based on protein, but on carbon or consists of carbon molecules may be far more common than other molecules like silicon-based. That's because carbon is one of the most abundant elements in the universe. And about water, this is very, very, very important, because so far, life as we know it, we haven't found any life here on Earth whatsoever that does not got water as the medium for biochemical reactions to take place. And water is also very common in the universe. As an astronomer, we have found lots of evidence of water everywhere in the universe. So it's not a coincidence that life here on Earth needs water as the medium for biochemical reactions to take place, and carbon-based, because carbon can form on the element periodic table varieties of molecules, much more than nitrogen or phosphorus or oxygen. Yeah. So I don't want to choose between the three, but that's my comments.
Okay, thank you very much for the question and the answers. And let's move on to the next question from the gentleman in red, please.
โอเคก่อนอื่นก็ขอสวัสดีท่านดร.สรัญนะครับผมได้เพิ่งสัมภาษณ์ท่านอาจารย์ไปเมื่อเร็วๆนี้นะฮะท่าน Okay, I would like to go back to the question about that the moderator said about what the alien look like. But in my point of view, I remember that the statement of Carl Sagan, we are a part of Stardust, right? So if you see the evolution of the human, starting from we are embryo in the womb, we have tail, and then we evolve to like a box, and then we have 5 nodes. This happened in the Tipitaka also in Buddhism scriptures. Okay, but I have found that, and as Dr. Sran said, at the beginning of the universe, we start from the Big Bang. Okay, and then there are many atoms in the universe, spread on the universe, and we are evolved from the atom as well. I think so. Even in our body, we comprise with a trillion atoms, right? Okay, so I would like to know you explain about the statement of Carl Sagan. We are a part of Stardust. So why we can't count ourselves like an alien also in the point of view of other planets or other terrestrial human, or I don't know how to say, alien.
Well, I mean, I think you touch on what is really the ultimate question that the search for extraterrestrial intelligence asks. How is it in a seemingly stochastic, random universe, somehow matter has become aware? Matter has gained the capacity to ask questions about its own existence. We have no idea how that happened. The search for extraterrestrial intelligence as an experimental science is asking the question, now, did that only happen once, or did that happen many, many times? Do we live in a universe where consciousness, intelligence, this ability is a statistical fluke, or do we live in a universe in which the capacity to evolve intelligence is somehow a fundamental property of the universe itself, something that happens many times? We don't know the answer to this, but SETI is at least trying to figure out which of those two universes we live in.
Anybody else would like to respond? Otherwise, I will go on to the next question that came through online. Now, there is no evidence of another life form. Dr. Saran, did you want to add?
No, but I like to make a little more comments about intelligence versus civilization. I think we have found so far that some mammals like whales or dolphins actually very, very clever. And we probably think that they're not as intelligent as human beings, but they may be far more intelligent than us. We don't know. But they cannot form civilization. They cannot develop technology because their body need to be hydrodynamic because they live in the ocean. Imagine if there's an intelligent life that's far clever, more clever than human being, but living on Jupiter in the gaseous state. They need to be streamlined in order to survive within that kind of environment. So they might not be able to develop the technology that we can do here. Even among humans, species, like I mentioned during my talk, that so far we found evidence of on parallel with Homo sapien, other species like Homo neanderthal and Homo forensis in Indonesia. Only Homo sapien live longer and therefore able to develop not only civilization but modern technology. So I think we need to give priority to the word intelligence versus civilization. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for that. A very interesting angle to look at it. There's a hand in the air here, but just very quickly, may I just go into this? No, you said there's no evidence of a life form out there, but this person here wants to know if there are any strange stories, bizarre happenings about aliens that you would like to share with us here. So please do entertain us. Professor, doctor, any? He's like feeling a little bit uncomfortable. Oh no.
I don't feel uncomfortable. Honestly, I really wish every day that something like that would happen. Yeah, okay. And I'm sure Andrew's the same and Saron's the same. It's our job to try and find that. But unfortunately, nothing ever happens. And that's actually one of the big problems about all of this. You can see that we all think that there should be intelligent life, and maybe sometimes intelligent life produces, a technical civilization. It seems quite reasonable, right? Most people had their hands up. But the thing is that there's absolutely no evidence that that's the case. And that's the thing that really frightens me, is that we don't have any stories about things happening or weird things or aliens or whatever. That is the really frightening thing, that even though our technology becomes better year on year, the optical telescopes that are being built here, the radio telescopes, we're no further forward in this question. And it really goes back to the Fermi paradox, where are they? It's a huge question, and trying to understand the reasons why we haven't detected these other technical civilizations, if they're out there, that really worries me. that really worries me.
I think, speaking of strange things, we shouldn't look over the fact that we ourselves are quite strange. We have no idea how life came to exist. Life here, as we know it, this sort of conversation that we're having is, as far as I'm concerned, the strangest property of the universe. Now, I'm not an expert at, general relativity and magnetohydrodynamics, but, when people explain to me, how stars work and how galaxies work and, the sort of general story of cosmology, it all makes sense. It all fits together. But life is seemingly some sort of aberration. And the strangeness is, in fact, all around us.
All right, so we're all quite strange. So no stories from, like, say, Area 51, anything like that? Nothing? Nothing? Okay. Next question. If we can take the question from the gentleman in front first, and then we'll move to the gentleman in the second row. Thank you. Please.
Yep. Thank you very much. I think you brought a very good perspective of overall picture of how large the universe is and how small we are. And I think the physical parameters that we involve here, there are three big parameters. One is the distance. The transgalactic distance is so huge. The second is our lifetime is so small, is so short. And I think Michael emphasized that by showing the time the light travel from Earth to Mars, I think. We all like to watch space movie, science fiction. And in order to make the movie interesting, we shorten the travel time. So that is, we imagine that we can travel faster than speed of light. That is the warp technology. And in order to make SETI successful, I think that is one of the things that we cannot miss. Because imagine science fiction without the ability to travel faster than speed of light. There is no way that you can travel transgalaxy. So I'm surprised that in your talk you did not mention that at all. Perhaps that is the await technology that you talk about, that maybe we need to wait until that technology come about so we can really find extraterrestrial.
Well, I think you've said some of the things I tried to say, but you said it much better than I did, I have to say. I mean, it's an interesting idea. Everyone hopes that there will be technology that would allow us to, if not to travel faster than light, then to at least approach being able to travel at the speed of light. And that would, I think, at least for the person in the spacecraft, that would offer up sort of interesting opportunities. But of course, traveling faster than light, although everyone wants to do it, I don't think anyone knows how to do it. It would certainly make life much more interesting. And we'd certainly know a lot more about this question about are we alone if we could even travel at a reasonable fraction of the speed of light. And of course, if we could travel faster than the speed of light, that would be wonderful. But yeah, it's a good point, and thanks for making it. Yeah.
Thank you for your reflection there. Let's move on to the gentleman in the second row. If we could just pass in the microphone.
This is a question about fast radio burst breakthrough. Can you tell us more about whether it is something significant pointing to some intelligence or otherwise?
Sure. So for those of you that aren't familiar with this phenomena, fast radio bursts, or FRBs, are a new astronomical phenomena that have recently been discovered just over the last decade or so. Essentially, fast radio bursts are very brief millisecond flashes of radiation. If you know what a pulsar does, that produces individual pulses of radio waves, a fast radio burst is very similar, except many orders of magnitude brighter, coming from outside of our galaxy, and most of the time, or at least some of the time, they only produce one burst. Some of them we now know produce multiple bursts. They're surely important. They're very interesting. In addition to being intrinsically interesting, that is, interesting in and of themselves, they also might be very good probes of the material between our galaxy and other galaxies. We can use their propagation to measure various properties of intergalactic space. Whether they have anything to do with intelligent life remains an open question. We don't know what causes fast radio bursts. It might be one thing, it might be many, many different things, or at least a few different things. For the moment, the possibility of an artificial origin is one of the lesser likely sources. We think that it's more likely that they have some natural explanation, but we don't know, and very much a subject of very active research. And I should say one that the new 40-meter telescope will likely play a role in uncovering.
I'd like to add a little that, about this fast radio burst or FRBs, we're going to host a conference on FRBs in Thailand next March, the last week of March. And so far, there have already, I think there have been more than 100 people registered, most of them leaders in this field, trying to get together and share knowledge together. Last week of March, if you're keen, you can join.
And there you go. You're all invited to that event. Did you want to add anything?
I just wanted to add that I think I'm not an expert on fast radio bursts, but they really are amazing things. Every 15 seconds or 20 seconds, there's this enormously bright flash of radio emission in the sky. Every 15 seconds, somewhere above our heads, this happens. And 10 years ago, we had absolutely no idea that such things actually happened. We hadn't discovered these things. So we should always remember that as technology advances, that we are opening up all these new phenomena. The 40-meter telescope will do FRBs, but the question is, what else will it do? What will be the new things that the 40-meter telescope will do? And that's a fantastic situation that we have here in astronomy, is that there's always something new and there's always something unexpected. And I don't think we know exactly what FRBs are yet, and it may well be that they don't have an explanation associated with intelligent life, but you never know.
All right, let's come to this situation here in Thailand. Happened recently. I'm sure Dr. Saran has read it in the newspaper, Bangkok Post. I'm getting my information from. They're a group called Khao Kala, and they're meditating, and they believe that they are able to contact aliens. This was in the news. Dr. Saran, can you tell us more about that? And what is that? Can you explain to us?
Well, I have to be extremely cautious to answer this question. I've been interviewed many times, and I always try to avoid answering this question.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know that you were avoiding it.
I'd like to make some comments that science is about knowledge. What we're doing here, what we've been discussing today, is about scientific method for detecting or for discovering life beyond planet Earth.
Right.
And it's based on our knowledge about nature.
Mm-hmm.
And the beauty of science is that science can be proved wrong. It's difficult. You cannot prove that ghost doesn't exist, right? Can you prove that? Because a lot of people in this room believe in ghosts. But for science, one day you can prove that. If you can prove that this is wrong, there'll be a better explanation. So that's how new knowledge is developed.
Right. No, because Professor Michael, you talked about perhaps we're not intelligent enough to reach out to them, but maybe there are individuals here who are at that same wavelength, if you will, and they are able to connect to these other life forms?
Okay, I'm not ruling out that as a possibility. I mean, that could be the case, but then I'd like to know what it is that they know that we don't know. So what have they learned from these interactions? Can they come and tell us why general relativity actually doesn't work at some level? Can they give us a new, what's the empirical evidence that they could bring to the table that would allow us to believe that that was actually the case?
Okay.
I mean, I think if I was talking to aliens, the first thing that I would do is I'd ask them, well, you know, I'd ask them, what's the next big physical theory that, you know, we should be understanding as humans, because you've already done it, because you're probably thousands of years ahead of us. So
that would be the question, and not give me some numbers so I can go out and buy a lottery ticket.
You need evidence. You need real evidence. People just can't say we're in touch with them. There has to be evidence that proves that to be the case. And if they don't have evidence, then I don't believe it.
Okay. All right. Back to you, Dr. Saran. Is there research into discovering whether there is other life forms out there being conducted here in Thailand?
Well, we're starting to do this. Like I mentioned during my talk, that we developing a couple of instruments that might be able to study spectrum of atmosphere of other planets in the future. It's got to begin with that. And after we can detect scientifically spectrum from a planet, and if we can identify certain absorption bands or certain molecules in the atmosphere of that planet, we might be able to tell whether there's life or not. But it's still far into the future, and not only in Thailand, here in Thailand, you know, in other countries they're doing this as well. And the James Webb Space Telescope might be able to answer a lot within the next 10 years after the launch. What year now? 2022 or something like that. It's the largest space telescope with an aperture of 6 meters or so in the infrared, and will be put at L2, the point where the gravity of the Earth and the sun cancel out, and can that might be able to the first it might be the first instrument that can study atmosphere of other planets in great detail. Yes.
Fair enough. Okay. Now, this next question is for all three of you. The general public, are they pretty much supporting this search, or are they more opposing? Because obviously it takes a lot of money. And on top of that, you know, are we ready to be in contact with these other life forms, intelligent life forms? So the general public, are they supporting this?
Well, in my experience, yes.
Okay.
I think actually it's quite interesting. This is, I think, an area of astronomy that generally the public supports quite a lot, and they're often surprised that national governments don't play very much of a role in funding it. Now, $100 million is certainly a lot of money, and it has been transformative for how we've been able to conduct this search. But relative to the budget of something like the James Webb Space Telescope, it's a very, very small amount of money. And actually, this is not a particularly expensive field.
I absolutely agree with Andrew. We don't spend enough money on SETI. I think, you know, the general public is really interested in the answer to the question, are we alone? And astronomers are as well, but I don't think it's properly funded. It's reasonably well funded in the US with the Breakthrough program, but that's a recent development. In Europe, it is very, very poorly funded, and I don't think it's much different here or in Asia. And people demand, they want to know the answer to this question. It's something we're all excited about and interested in. So, in my opinion, governments don't spend enough money on this kind of topic. And they should listen to the public, because we want to know, and if we did detect a signal, it would change many things. And we would learn many things if we could communicate, if we could intercept the signals from other civilizations. We would move ourselves forward in many different ways in terms of technology and maybe culture and language and thought, etc. It's a huge opportunity, and we don't do enough to try and exploit it.
Dr. Saran.
Well, even astronomy in Thailand, in a developing country like Thailand, is quite difficult to get support from the government, but not the public. Yeah, because we've been doing a lot of public outreach and to create a lot of understanding and awareness for astronomy here in Thailand, and I think a lot of people support us, but it's very, very difficult for NARIT as a government organization spending taxpayers' money to get support of this kind from the politicians and the government. But if you want to answer this question, I think we have to ask the audience here whether you support us to do SETI.
Let's see some hands in the air, please. Do you support this? Everybody's hands goes up in the air. There you go. We support it. Okay, all right. Now we do have about 5 more minutes left. Any final questions from the audience? Oh, there's a question from the gentleman over there in the back. Oh, there's one here. There's plenty more. Okay, there's a gentleman in the very back. เดี๋ยวน้องขอสุภาพบุรุษด้านหลังด้วยนะคะ and then we'll come back down to those 2 hands. I really I'm happy to see the eagerness to ask. Please.
Could you tell us a little bit about that alien megastructure star that everybody was talking about a year or 2 ago? Thank you.
Alien megastar.
Sure. This is a star that's called Tabby Star, or Boyagin's star, named after the astronomer Tabitha Boyagin, who discovered it. This is a star that was observed by the Kepler Mission. The Kepler Mission is a satellite that was looking for extrasolar planets. It's no longer operating, and it looked for planets by using that method that Saran showed in his talk, where you watch for the light from the star to dip a little bit as the planet passes between the satellite and the star. And Tabby Star, or Boyagin star, was very, very strange in that it had some dips in what's called its light curve, in the light from the star, but they were asymmetric, meaning they didn't look the same at the beginning and the end, which might indicate that whatever was passing in front of it was not round. And they also were not periodic, as you would expect for a planet. So very, very strange, prompted a huge amount of interest from the SETI community and also from just the general astronomy community. The consensus is at present that those dips are due to dust. And we know that because finally we've been able to observe the dips simultaneously in the optical part of the spectrum and in the infrared part of the spectrum. And we see that the dips are different in the optical and the infrared. And that tells us that the size of whatever it is that is occluding the star is sort of approximately the size of the wavelength of the transition between optical and infrared radiation, which is about 1 micron. And that's a sort of typical size for dust. And so those things together tell us that it's probably dust.
Thanks very much for that question. Let's move on now to the question from...
So what kind... I would like to know that what kind of benefits and what kind of social and economical values for the citizens in daily life to know what kind of benefits from the search for extraterrestrial intelligence.
Why are we doing this? What benefits will we gain from doing
that
this?
related to the citizens in daily life?
Yeah, no, I think it's a good question. I think first of all, just answering the question, are we alone, is something we should be doing anyway. It's just a question that absolutely deserves our attention and our focus. But it's also asking us to do something that's really, really difficult. It produces more data than any other astronomical application. And being able to handle that data, being able to look for one signal out of many, many, many other signals, that pushes us to use new technologies, to develop new software, to invoke artificial intelligence. It really pushes us to an extreme in terms of being able to answer all these questions. So this will always produce new technologies that are of benefit to society. And perhaps one of the big examples from the past is, you could ask, what has radio astronomy ever done for us? Well, every mobile device in this room, every laptop, every Wi-Fi, that has its roots in radio astronomy. There's something called the IEEE standard 802.11. That was something that was developed by radio astronomers in Australia, and it's now used in billions of devices all around the world. And that's one example, but there are many, many other examples. But to me, the most important thing is the question, just answering the question. Even if it doesn't produce all those spin-offs, I think we want to answer that question. But I'm happy that it does also have a benefit to the wider society.
Last question.
I just want to know that, have you ever thought of the living creatures in the higher dimension, like in the fifth or fourth dimension? And if you have, what they might look like, from your opinion?
He's passing the microphone to you. Oh no, he's passing it to you now. It's like a hot potato here.
In all seriousness, the question of the dimensionality of our universe is an important one in cosmology. We don't know how many physical dimensions there are to our universe. It might be sort of hyperdimensional, have a larger number of dimensions than are kind of immediately obvious to us. But we don't have any way of remote sensing the other dimensions, if they exist. We don't know of any way that information can be propagated sort of between those higher dimensions. If we were to develop some technology that utilized that, and we were able to do a calculation and show that that was something that we could detect from these other dimensions, then certainly we would employ it.
All right, that is, there's another hand up in the air here. We have one more question. All right, one final question. How many more questions? Plenty over here and over there. How do we do this? Okay, perhaps if we could hear all the questions at one go, and then the speakers can sort of like select which one you want to respond to. So quickly, let's pass the microphone. เดี๋ยวเราจะฟังคำถามรวดเลยทีเดียวนะคะแล้วเดี๋ยวก็จะให้ทั้ง3ท่านเนี่ยลองดูว่าจะตอบอันไหนเชิญค่ะ
So, do you have any plan to join SETI? And if you have, how NARIT will?
Okay, so the way forward for NARIT, and if there are future plans, if they're going to join SETI, you mentioned this in your presentation. That's the first question. Can we pass the microphone very quickly to the others?
And as you mentioned, the Fermi paradox is mentioned the great filters. So, is the great filters are ahead of us, or we have passed it already? Thank you.
All right, that's another question. This gentleman in front here, and we'll take another question. 3 more questions there. 4 more questions. All right. Let's see. So we'll hear them all first.
So in the past, about I don't remember, there are a black hole picture, real black hole picture, that's sent to public. And my question is how this black hole picture tell us about technological breakthrough we have now to observe another star that are so far away.
Okay, next please.
From the Drake's equation, is there any prediction about the intelligent civilization around at least our galaxy or something?
I think there was that a hand towards the back there is up.
What do you think about alien society evolution is just like us or not?
Okay, are aliens like us or not? That question. Any more hands? I really want the younger generation to really participate. I want to hear what their thoughts are. So that's why I'm just giving them time here. Please, there's one hand here, there's another one over there, and there's another one over there. So very quickly.
If the exoplanet is near the black hole, it will have different space-time. How we can communicate with them? If they had different space-time.
Okay, we've got that question. And if we could have the microphone over there. Please sprint. Sprint, sprint, sprint. Good exercise, because it's quite chilly in here. Stay warm.
Has the interdisciplinary approach has been beyond science?
Sorry, it's a bit soft. If you could just
has the
project.
interdisciplinary approaches beyond science been implemented into the research method of finding all these answers? Let's say if Arthur C. Clarke is one of the scientific team, would the result or hypothesis be different?
All right, so those are the questions. And please, we'll now get some responses from the speakers here. You don't have to address all of them. Some of them we actually talked about already. So feel free to decide who will go first.
Okay, I'll go first because...
It's easier to go first sometimes,
yeah, it's
isn't
easier.
It?
Then I get the easiest question.
Okay.
So I think there was one over there about the great filter, the idea, that every civilization, that there's some point at which you don't progress any further and you become extinct, right? And so the question was, is the great filter in front of us or is it behind us? Well, I hope it's behind us, but I think it's actually probably in front of us. So, but
I
hope it's behind us.
You think it's in front of us, but you hope it's behind us. Yeah. Okay, that's the answer. Next, you're next, Doctor?
Sure. Well, I guess there have been a number of questions about different types of life or life that exists in very different environments, perhaps very close to a supermassive black hole, and could we find that life? I think there's something sort of special about the search for technologically capable life that we should point out, which is that all of the searches that we've talked about doing are independent of the nature of the life that is producing the technology. Most natural sources of emission that we see in astronomy fundamentally have to do with the random motions of electrons or particles. But technology does something very different. It can order radiation. It has a property called coherence, which compresses energy in time or in frequency. So it doesn't matter if the life is carbon-based, or it's silicon-based, or it's something completely different. If it uses electromagnetic radiation for some kind of ordered purpose, we could detect that with our experiments, and it needn't be communication technology like we usually use as an example.
Dr. Saran, it's your turn, and if I may ask you to respond and then wrap it up for us as well, deliver your closing statement to wrap things up officially for today, please.
Well, I think there's a good possibility for us to join SETI. This is because we will soon have the technology that might be able to help and contribute to this field of research. And the reason is quite simple. We like to do it because it's difficult.
Right, and then if you could have sum up our seminar today. I believe you were supposed to give a closing remark as well.
it's quite difficult to sum up. But first of all, I'd like to thank you all for coming here and join us. This is a very special talk. We've never done this kind of thing before with 3 speakers on the panel. And I have to thank Andrew and Mike in particular for flying a long way. I just learned a couple of hours ago that Andrew started from California yesterday, and he arrived, the day before yesterday, and arrived to Bangkok through Peking to Beijing after flying for about 24 hours to give a talk here. And I think that deserves a big round of applause.
Definitely a big round of applause.
And that we like to learn more from you all. And if we have a chance to discuss, which I think we will in the next couple of days, he'll be here with us, the possibility for joining this kind of work. And I'm quite sure that it will develop and give us a lot of opportunity to develop our skills, our technology, and other kinds of human capacity, not only in SETI, but maybe that will spread out to the other fields of science as well.
Thank you very much. A big round of applause, please, for our 3 speakers. We do have a token of appreciation to present to our 2 speakers here, inviting Dr. Saran to be the person who is going to be presenting the speakers with that token of appreciation. First, we would like to present that souvenir to Dr. Andrew, the director of SETI and director of Berkeley SETI Research Center. So center stage here. We'll remove the chairs as we're going to take a group photo on the stage as well. So we do have a special publication here. Dr. Saran presenting it to Dr. Andrew Simeon, Director of SETI, Director of Berkeley. Perhaps center stage, please, so we can take a photo as well. We thank you so much for being here. Next, in show of our appreciation, thanking you as well to Professor Michael Garrett, Director of Jodrell Bank for Astrophysics at the University of Manchester. Thank you so much. So a group photo, center stage, please. So we'll request for you to take a photo up here, please, and then we'd like to invite you down to take a picture with the audience too. But first, okay, so we'll take the first photo with the 3 first, and then thank you for inviting me to join. I will not skip that opportunity. And then everybody stay put. We're going to have the guests join downstairs, if I may. Thank you. Oh, don't go anywhere yet. Didn't you want to take a picture with me too? Please, sorry. This doesn't usually happen.
Okay, big smile, 1, 2, cut.
Once again, if you can all stay put and get ready to smile, all right? Because you're going to be included in this photo. And anybody else wanting to be a part of the photo, feel free, John. Perhaps you want to take a seat. Please join if you would like to be in the photo. All right, so there's one more empty chair towards the back there, but that's perfect. Inviting the photographers here. เชิญถ่ายภาพด้วยกันนะคะเรียนเชิญนะคะน้องๆแขกผู้มีเกียรตินะคะอาจจะไปยืนอยู่ข้างๆถ่ายภาพด้วยกันนะคะน้องๆคะเชิญค่ะ Okay, once again inviting everybody to sort of find a gap, a space, sit down. There's some empty chairs in the back. เรียนเชิญนะคะด้านหลังยังมีเก้าอี้ว่างเดี๋ยวรบกวนนะคะขึ้นไปด้านบนด้วยนะคะเรียนเชิญค่ะด้านหลังยังมีเก้าอี้ว่างอยู่นะคะแล้วก็อยากจะขอบพระคุณนะคะแขกผู้มีเกียรติทุกท่านเลยที่สละเวลานะคะมาร่วมสนุกกับเรามาค้นหากันว่า Are we really alone or not in this universe? I thought it was absolutely enlightening, stimulating, entertaining at the same time, and it was really inspiring too. All right, now, เชิญน้องๆได้เลยนะคะอาจจะนั่งไปเลยก็ได้นะคะไม่นั่งใช่ไหมคะยืนโอเคเรียนเชิญแขกผู้มีเกียรติที่นั่งอยู่รบกวนยืนได้ไหมคะยืนเลยค่ะขอบคุณนะคะมันจะเป็นภาพและบรรยากาศที่อบอุ่นมากเรียนเชิญทุกคนยืนนะคะที่นั่งอยู่ตรงด้านหลังนั้นโอเคน้องถอดหน้ากากแป๊บหนึ่งได้ไหมครับเนาะแป๊บเดียวเองแล้วก็กลั้นหายใจไว้นะคะพิธีกรด้วยนะคะข้างๆนี่ก็ได้ไหมคะOkay, so we'll take try to squeeze in everybody พยายามนะคะขยับเข้ามาทุกคนมองกล้องนะคะAll right, so guys, we're going to do a big yay and careful, don't punch the person next to you. So on the count of 3, are you ready? Yes, 3, 2, 1, yay! Don't punch the person next to you and don't block his or her face. Again, 2, 3, I know. Oh, there we go, we're smiling. 3, 2, 1, yay! Thank you all so much. Thank you for choosing to be with us this afternoon. It was so much fun. And it was also so very enlightening, interesting indeed. Special kind thanks going out once again to our speakers. Dr. Andrew Simeon, Director of SETI and Director of Berkeley SETI Research Center. Thank you, Professor Michael Garrett, Director of Jodrell Bank for Astrophysics. University of Manchester, Dr. Saran Bosch Yatinda.